Isn't this what the system wants? For us to be disconnected, for us to be islands unto ourselves. So right now, the biggest rebellion that we have is through collaboration, unity to actually build something. That's powerful shit. And it's all about sharing a collective vision.
Welcome to the Sound Body Initiative, a place for those who sense there's something deeper happening beneath the surface, and where lived experience meets between sound, body, and soul. Here we're talking creativity, consciousness, and real-life inquiry, exploring what it actually means to be human right now. So slow down, tune in, and remember how connected we really are.
Testing, testing. Are we listening? What's up, beautiful friends? We're back here again, together, united, and it feels so good. And that's what this week's topic is all about, uniting as a collective. I'm excited to be sharing this message because it's actually a call to action. And the reason that I want to speak on this is because we are seeing everybody complaining and bitching and using the use of AI technology, or rather these, like, what would you call them? They're really pattern recognition bots, and everybody's complaining about it, myself included, yet everyone is still using it, myself included. And I really kind of just want to talk about the reasoning behind this and what we can do to reconnect with our human intelligence. So I started thinking, like, why do I use tools like this? And quite frankly, it's because it's a quick collaborator. It's a tool that is able to recognize my input and tap into, like, my patterns really quickly and identify what it is that I'm looking for. So that's really why everybody's using it. And I think a lot of people are using it because everybody's on their own. Everybody's super independent, trying to do their own thing, which is really cool. I love that. I love that so many people are tapping into their creative vision and trying to bring forth projects to life and start businesses. And it's really, really amazing. But in that, we are really disconnected from one another. And so now we are outsourcing and seeking the use of, these different AI technologies. I know they have a different name there. It's not actual artificial intelligence. It's like a pattern recognizing system. But for lack of a better term, we call it AI, which, who knows, may end up developing into a greater intelligence that some people are afraid of. But really, the idea is getting back to our human nature, getting back to our human intelligence, and tapping into that as a collaborative tool instead of the AI. So everyone's trying to do their own thing. And, we're using this AI because ChatGPT is the only person that actually understands what you're talking about. It's the only person who is cooperative and you can bounce ideas off of it. And we wouldn't actually need this collaborative partner of ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever you want to call these different bots. We wouldn't be using this artificial intelligence and data mining if we could actually work together as humans, as creatives, to achieve and work towards the same collective vision. So, if anything, society has taught us and it's pushed us to becoming islands unto ourselves. But frankly, there's no great vision that's going to come to fruition if people aren't on the same page, if people aren't working together in unity in some way. So how can we actually achieve something great from the perspective of humanity as a whole, if everyone is doing their own thing and everybody's being pulled in all these different directions. And like I said, this is really a fantastic time that we're living in, that so many people can have access to achieving their dreams, and we have the potential and the resources to, to actually fulfill our creative visions. However, when it comes to mass scale, I really believe that it's about collaboration and it's about collective and working together. So this message kind of came as this download. And what this has evolved into is a call to action. So this is me officially starting a collective as part of the initiative. So a collective of artists, of musicians, entertainers, healers, of writers, engineers, producers, builders, technology junkies, content creators, thinkers, feelers, anyone who is a conscious creator and has a fire inside of them to share this collective vision of a unified humanity, of freedom, of care, a vision of respect and love. I'm calling on you to help me bring this vision to life. So whether we work together in unison or we work together separately, we have a mission here to achieve as human beings on this earth, for us to restore balance, clarity, and harmony. So this is really a call for unity and understanding, and for you to put your talents and your skills to good use. Here's what I always found in collaboration. And there are values and there are drawbacks, and I want to take an honest look at that, because I'm sitting here now as an independent creator. I've worked in groups of people. I've collaborated in a lot of different ways, and I think a lot of you have, and that's probably what in ways has pushed us to working alone. And it can have its benefits and it can also have its drawbacks. So the point of this show is to really look at things from an honest perspective and a place of neutrality, and really just offer insights and tools for us to make the best decisions, to actually move with discernment in our life. Because I think a lot of things that creatives run into is the problem of saying yes to everything. And there's a fine line of, what is actually beneficial to the whole, beneficial to the collective, and what's beneficial to our purpose and our alignment, and what's going to keep feeding our energy as creatives, as entrepreneurs, so that we can keep giving back to the whole. So it's like this ebb and flow, and I've definitely got caught up in it a few times. So there's a difference between purpose, drive, and alignment. And the synchronicities are everywhere. They are not only a reflection of God, but they're also a reflection of you. So, when we see these synchronicities, when we see these things come into our field, into our perspective, into our vision, it's a matter of identifying the synchronicities of what is aligned with your purpose, and what is a distraction, or rather, maybe what is someone else's mission to achieve. So, when you come into these synchronicities, it's about noticing and being aware what is coming into your awareness. So as you listen to this message, what is coming into your awareness? What inspiration is surfacing within you when you hear that there's an opportunity for you to collaborate with those who are aligned with your same vision? What gifts do you have to offer? So the world and society has trained us that everything revolves around us. Yet we all form a thread in this collective fabric of life. Every single one of us plays a part in the greater constellation that we make up here as humanity. And it's up to us to discern what is in harmony, what is in dissonance, or rather what is in incoherence with our purpose. with our greater purpose. And note that purpose does not have to mean a skill or service or trade. We have many purposes to uplift and inspire and achieve great things with one another. And, we have different purposes at different times in our lives. We may play different roles in this greater collaboration of community. But the issue that I've run into in communities is that everybody either wants to play all of the roles and wear too many hats, or they don't know what role to play themselves. They don't know where they fit in. And I think this is really just indicative of a lack of strong leadership. And everyone is a leader in their own right. We're talking freedom here. However, there are some people who are better at seeing, the bigger picture. And there are some people who are better at seeing the very fine details. And when it comes to community and when it comes to collaboration, it's really identifying and being honest with yourself. What skill are you best at? What gifts do you have that are not only, beneficial to those around you, but actually make you feel energized, make you feel inspired, empowered, and alive? And actually honing in on those skills, honing in on those gifts, and then acting accordingly. So I'm, for example, I'm good at a lot of things. Like, I'm kind of one of those people's, is that a good sentence? I'm the type of person that, like, if there's something that sparks my interest and my creativity, I kind of go all in on it. And a lot of times I'll bite off more than I can chew. But, I see these things and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get really, really good at that. And what I've found a lot of times is that just because I'm good at something doesn't mean that it's making me feel fulfilled or that it's giving me energy. For example, I happen to be really good at legal work. I understand legalese really well. I can write and read contracts. I'm very good at understanding the law. And there was a period of time in my life where I had to work on a pro se legal case. And I was so fired up about it. And my head was just like in these legal books and, combing through all of this evidence. And I was like, maybe I should go back to school to be a lawyer. And I'm laughing because that's so fucking foolish of me, because it was exhausting. I was so mentally and emotionally drained from that work that I was doing, even though I was so fucking good at it. It was not filling my cup. And for me, I do not feel fulfilled when I'm fighting something. I don't think that, our place here is to constantly be in this place of resistance. And so when you're fighting something, when you're trying, when you're pushing, you're in a state of resistance. And by the laws of physics, whatever you apply pressure to is going to create an equal and opposite reaction. So that didn't make sense to me. And I returned with my tail between my legs back to the creative field and back to entertainment where I belong. But that's just one example about how when we try to wear all of the hats and do all of the things and be the fucking boss dog of everything, it ends up, forcing us down, and our bodies will eventually respond to that which is not in alignment with us. So that's one of the big problems that I see in collaboration. I've also been in several bands. I've worked with many different musicians. And, the thing that was always coming up in these groups is that everybody wants to be the star all of the time. And they forget that the piece of music, the only reason that it is beautiful is because there's space for everyone to play at different times. everyone has their own particular moment to shine. And it's the space between that really creates the beautiful nature of a composition. And that is one of the most beautiful lessons that music and being a musician has taught me. You know, even though I like to be the front woman, let's be real, I love to sing and I love to perform. However, I absolutely know when it's not my time to shine and when it's time for me to step back and to give someone else the stage. And that is like the biggest law of collaboration and collective vision, is allowing everyone's little points and perspective to come through and create this big, beautiful composition for us all to enjoy. So we were talking about, strong leadership and the ability to see and act in everyone's best interest. So that's really what leadership's about. That's really what playing your part is about in the collective, in the collaboration, is being able to see, understand, and attune to everyone's best interest without judgment and using your best discernment. So again, to quote the Tao, one of my favorite books, the Tao says that a leader lets his people lead. And when they achieve great things, they look around to one another and they say, "Look at what we've done." Just let that sink in for a little bit. So when we're working in true collaboration, when we're working towards a true unified vision, everyone is a leader, yet everyone is part of the whole, if that makes sense. So that's really why I've been using my own discernment to not work with everybody who asks me to work with them. I had a really big wake up call last fall when I had to cancel a whole bunch of events because I said yes to too many things. I was completely burnt out. I was strung out on stress. I was having panic attacks. And I was like, I can't be everything to all the people. I can't be involved in every single project. And so I'm not asking people to lay down their life and jump on board with this project. But I am calling in other conscious creatives who either want to work on this mission with me or work alongside me in collaboration with their own collectives. So this is a declaration. This is a call to unity. And being honest, whether you're thinking about starting your own collective or whether you are inspired to work with me in some way, shape, or form, here's some of the setbacks to working alone. So, I already admitted I use AI as a tool. Yes, sometimes ChatGPT helps me create my captions, but I always have to edit them. They're almost always shit. And the best work always comes through when it comes out of me, when it comes from my direct connection with Source, when I am relaxed, when I'm feeling attuned, and it happens so fucking fast. And I'm like, I have friends who are like really against the AI movement, and I totally get it. Like, listen, like I said at the beginning, I would not be using this if there was someone else who was, if there was a unified collective where we were working towards creating the same collective thing. So, we have these tools, they're able to bounce ideas off of us and they understand us. However, all of this got me thinking and really understanding why so many people are against this use of AI technology. And that's because this type of technology is disconnecting us from God. It's disconnecting us from our divine consciousness, our divine intelligence, because we're no longer using our intelligence, our own innate abilities and intuition, and our creative force, our awareness that we have and that we've been given these gifts of God. We're not actually using those. When I say outsourcing, we're giving that power away. When you entrain that way, the genes that express these particular characteristics within us, they start to suppress. And when they start to suppress in us, they're no longer passed on to the next generation through our offspring. And we see this in the study of epigenetics and why there is such a spike in genetic diseases with every single generation. There's more and more and more chronic disease. And the reason that we're seeing this is because we're suppressing our genes as human beings. We're suppressing our immune systems so that, we're outsourcing different things to take care of our bodies. And the genes that we have that are naturally able to take care of our bodies, they're not being used. And we all know the expression, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's what's happening to our genetics. That's what's happening to our DNA as a species. And that should be pretty fucking frightening to us. And not just from a health perspective of, having the capability to heal our bodies, but also from an awareness perspective. If every generation is using their ability to think and to be creative and to express themselves, what do you think is happening to our genetics? What do you think is happening to us on a DNA level? We're suppressing those genes. And when we pass on our genes to the next generation, those genes are not even going to give a shit. They're going to be like, nah, they don't need us. So we're not going to pass those genes on to the next generation because the human body is efficient. We will always adapt to function more efficiently and more harmoniously in our environment. So the more we outsource these innate abilities that we have, the less connected that we are, not just from ourselves, but also from one another. And I don't know about you, but the last time that I checked, humans need each other to survive. And I'm convinced that we wouldn't be relying on these tools if we were actually able to rely on one another, if we were actually working collaboratively, forming businesses together and collectives that are mutually beneficial to one another. Okay? I think it was either Dr. King or Malcolm X that had said something along the lines of, until we learn to organize ourselves in the same way that they, quote unquote, have organized, then we will never actually be in power. So again, this is a call. This is a declaration to start collaborating, to start joining forces with one another, not for monetary gain, for mutual benefit of one another. And when we benefit one another, when we are actually sharing a collective vision together, then our lives naturally become more abundant. We hear a lot of people talk about running off and starting a commune together and, living off grid and disconnecting from the system. And that's all fine and well, but if you don't feel aligned with a certain community, or if you don't feel aligned with a certain role, that doesn't really serve you. And I don't think there's one set lifestyle for every single person. I personally am I'm not a farmer. Like, I can grow food. I can start food from seeds. If shit hits the fan, I will survive. However, I don't want to go till the land. That's not where I find my true happiness. And, I absolutely want to support collectives who do that, but that's not for me. We all have a different role to play in the constellation of humanity. We're not supposed to wear all the hats. We're not all supposed to play all of the roles at all of the times. And when we try to do that, it starts to dilute our gifts. So if I was tilling the land, which sometimes I can see it off in the distance of my imagination, whenever, the apocalypse comes to a close. By the way, apocalypse actually means it means a revealing. So apocalypse is something that reveals that which has been up unseen. So it's not death and destruction like people like to portray it. We are actually going through an apocalypse right now. We are living in apocalyptic times. Like, I don't know about you, but I kind of think that's really cool. So when we are post-apocalyptic, what are we going to have left? How are we going to actually survive as humanity? These are the questions that go on in my mind. Okay, thanks for listening. But when we're forced to wear all of these hats and do all of the things and be the sole provider for everything that we need in our own lives, our gifts are no longer shining as bright as they could. And you maybe have heard me say this before, but I'm sorry, your talents were God's gifts to you. What you do with those talents are your gifts to God. And that's where we find true harmony with the nature around us. But of course, isn't this what the system wants? For us to be spread thin, for us to be disconnected, for us to be islands unto ourselves. Because the system functions better when we're dependent on the system instead of one another. So right now, the biggest rebellion that we have is through collaboration. It's through art and music and business, things that are actually creating, not collaboration and unity in order to fight something, but collaboration and unity to actually build something. That's powerful shit. It is a very powerful recognition when you realize that by working together, not to fight or to overcome, but to create beauty and to create love, working coherently, vibrations aligning together in the symphony of life. That's powerful. That's some profound shit right there. And it's all about sharing a collective vision. And you don't have to have all of the answers right now, right away, because it's when we work and we come together is when the pieces start to really fit. It's when we start to see one another in honesty and without judgment that we can activate this innate intelligence within ourselves. There's a very there's a very interesting thing that there's a very interesting ability that we have as humans, and I'm blanking on the word right now. It's part of our nervous system. We have like 6 or 7 different nervous systems, quote unquote. And one of them is our ability to respond to other people's nervous systems. So there's a very powerful thing that happens when you are being observed. You are able to pick up on the other person's nervous system. So we actually learn more about ourselves. We actually come online that much more whenever we're in direct communication with another person or observation with another person. So, when I say we really can't understand ourselves fully without the help of another, without being seen by another, that's what's going on a nervous system level from a consciousness perspective. So super interesting shit. If you have the ability to observe without judgment, or you have the opportunity to be observed and held without judgment, I highly recommend. You will find out things about yourself that you did not know were there. So when we are in vibrational alignment with one another, we're in coherence. And because we are just simply vibrational beings, that coherence is the principle of expanding and going further and going wider with our intentions, with our behaviors, through our thoughts, and through our actions. This is physics, okay? You can go listen to my episode on entraining a new reality if you want to get into the scientific perspective on that. But let's not complicate this. Change is simple. It's the most natural thing in all of the universe. And how beautiful is that? You can finally take the pressure off yourself. And so you were never meant to do it alone. And you were never meant to try and force it, because it's just part of nature. So I think this process that we're going through as humanity is part of the evolution. You know, it's part of consciousness becoming more and more aware of itself. But unless we actually take the opportunity to become more aware, then eventually we're just going to train ourselves into non-existence. And for me personally, I really like this life. I really love this human experience. It's not perfect all the time, and it's not all sunshine and roses, but it's beautiful and it's profound. I love learning, and I'm here to learn. That's what I came here to do. That is my mission here, to deepen our awareness, to return back to our humanity, back to our connection with God, back to our connection with our divinity, our creative force, so that we can bring new life into this reality, restore balance, restore harmony. So it's official, I think. I say this with hesitation because I really want this to be in alignment. I really want to have impact. I don't want to create a state of dissonance where we just fizzle out and we create more friction within ourselves and with one another. Very intentionally, I'm calling on you, calling on the conscious creators. I'm calling on the business-minded individuals who know that they are capable of achieving great things, who want to work together, who want to expand upon our collective vision from all over the world. This is not an idea. Like I said, this is a declaration. And of course, this is the Sound Body Initiative, where we don't just think about things or talk about them. We embody them. So if you're ready to embody this mission with me, either together or together separately, I want to collaborate with you. I'm officially opening applications. I'm taking applications. I am officially opening applications for anybody who can see themselves doing this type of work with me. This evolutionary, creative work of making the world a more beautiful place and benefiting one another through that process of benefiting the collective. If you want to activate the full transmission, go listen to Sound Body Radio. This week's mix is completely unprepared, on the fly. I have thousands of songs in my crates, and I decided that I would just shuffle through them and play whatever comes into my field. So, in the spirit of tapping into our intuition and tapping into our collective evolution, I am inviting you to tap into your intuition, tap into your sound body. Go listen to that week's mix and notice how your body moves you and where that inspiration wants to lead you. So maybe we'll work together, maybe we won't. But I'm encouraging you to start your own collective vision, to join forces with one another, to work in unison for true progress, for true creation, for the betterment of all, for the free will of all. If you want to work with me directly, applications will be open this week. You can find them on my website, sound-body.org. And yes, you have to say it when you say it. Or you can reach out to me directly. You can find me on all the socials at jriomusic or at Sound Body Initiative. I love you. I hope you're so fucking inspired and empowered and uplifted and recognize the beautiful gifts that you have inside of you and what you can do when you work together to achieve that greater vision. Signing off. Keep up the light.
If you're listening to this broadcast, it means that you are a leader for a new way of living as humans. Hitting follow and subscribe doesn't just support me as an independent, but it supports our collective evolution, because the more people that tune into this content, the more it can reach to broaden our awareness and expand conscious thought. Plus, don't forget to integrate this week's music medicine into your practice, because the body is the gateway to your subconscious. You can find me on YouTube at jriomusic or SoundCloud at Jessica Rio Music, or simply by searching Sound Body Radio. If you love listening and tuning in, please reach out to me on Instagram to share your thoughts at Sound Body Initiative, and let me know what topics you want to expand upon in the next show. So remember, this isn't just a podcast. This is a transmission and a gateway to your own higher calling.